With people of limited ability, modesty is merely honesty. But with those who possess great talent, it is hypocrisy. It is difficult to find happiness within oneself, but it is impossible to find it anywhere else. Compassion for animals is intimately associated with goodness of character, and it may be confidently asserted that he who is cruel to animals cannot be a good man. It is a wise thing to be polite, consequently, it is a stupid thing to be rude. To make enemies by unnecessary and willful incivility is just as insane a proceeding as to set your house on fire. For politeness is like a counter and avowedly false coin, with which it is foolish to be stingy. In early youth, as we contemplate our coming life, we are like children in a theater before the curtain is raised, sitting there in high spirits and eagerly waiting for the play to begin. There is no doubt that life is given us, not to be enjoyed, but to be overcome, to be got over. Great minds are related to the brief span of time during which they live as great buildings are to a little square in which they stand. You cannot see them in all their magnitude because you are standing too close to them. Truth that is naked is the most beautiful, and the simpler its expression, the deeper is the impression it makes. The intellectual attainments of a man who thinks for himself resemble a fine painting, where the light and shade are correct, the tone sustained. If you want to know your true opinion of someone, watch the effect produced in you by the first sight of a letter from him. The greatest achievements of the human mind are generally received with distrust. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he doesn't love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free. Suffering by nature or chance never seems so painful as suffering inflicted on us by the arbitrary will of another. A man's delight in looking forward to and hoping for some particular satisfaction is a part of the pleasure flowing out of it, enjoyed in advance. But this is afterward deducted, for the more we look forward to anything the less we enjoy it when it comes. All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as self-evident. Just as one spoils the stomach by overfeeding and thereby impairs the whole body, so can one overload and choke the mind by giving it too much nourishment. When, in some dreadful and ghastly dream, we reach the moment of greatest horror, it awakes us, thereby banishing all the hideous shapes that were born of the night. And life is a dream. When the moment of greatest horror compels us to break it off, the same thing happens. As the biggest library, if it is in disorder, is not as useful as a small but well-arranged one, so you may accumulate a vast amount of knowledge, but it will be of far less value to you than a much smaller amount if you have not thought it over for yourself. Truth is no harlot who throws her arms round the neck of him who does not desire her. On the contrary, she is so core a beauty that even the man who sacrifices everything to her can still not be certain of her favors. However, for the man who studies to gain insight, books and studies are merely rungs of the ladder on which he climbs to the summit of knowledge. As soon as a rung has raised him up one step, he leaves it behind. On the other hand, the many who study in order to fill their memory do not use the rungs of the ladder for climbing, but take them off and load themselves with them to take away, rejoicing at the increasing weight of the burden. They remain below forever, because they bear what should have borne them.